When the sun rose the next day, the village of Argelin was silent. The storm had disappeared as suddenly as it had come, leaving behind a calm, almost eerie stillness. But Lena knew that the battle was far from over. The silent conclave would not forget her defiance. And as she looked out over the village, the weight of her decision pressed down on her, because while the storm had passed, the storm within her had only just begun. The silent conclave. The storm had raged for weeks, its fury unrelenting, swallowing the village of Argelin in a frozen silence. It was the kind of storm that made men whisper of curses, of old debts paid in blood. People who lived in Argelin knew better than to venture out once the first snowflakes fell. The wind that howled through the trees wasn't just cold, it was malicious. There were rumors of disappearances, sudden, unexplained vanishings. But no one dared speak of them aloud. Lena, a young woman with raven black hair and an unyielding spirit, had always felt like an outsider in Argelin. While others huddled close to hearths and whispered prayers, she spent her days wandering the mountain paths, searching for something she couldn't quite name. It was on one of these solitary treks that she first saw him, a figure standing at the edge of the forest, cloaked in tattered black robes, his face hidden by a hood. He hadn't been there the day before. Curiosity prickled her skin as she approached. But as she neared him, the wind suddenly stopped, completely, as if the world itself was holding its breath. And then the figure turned to face her. "You've come to claim what is yours, haven't you?" he asked, his voice a low rasp, like the rustle of dry leaves. Lena froze, an icy chill running down her spine. I don't know what you mean." He tilted his head slightly, as if considering her. "The storm is not a natural one," he said, his tone heavy with meaning. "It was summoned, long ago, by those who seek to keep the power of the mountain for themselves. But you are different. You are of their blood." Lena's heart skipped a beat. Her blood. What did he mean by that? Her father had been a stranger to Argelin, a man of unknown origins who had died under mysterious circumstances when she was just a child. Her mother never spoke of him. "Who are you?" she demanded. The man's lips twitched upward in a half-smile. "I am one of the silent conclave, the last guardians of an ancient secret. You are the key to breaking the storm, but you must decide whether you will free the village, or curse it forever." Before Lena could speak, the man handed her an old, weathered map, its edges frayed and burnt. He whispered something too low to hear, and then, without another word, he vanished into the storm. Lena stood motionless for a long time, the wind picking up again, howling through the trees. Her mind raced. What was this conclave? And why had they called her the key? She couldn't ignore it. She had to know. When the sun rose the next day, the village of Argelin was silent. The storm had disappeared as suddenly as it had come, leaving behind a calm, almost eerie stillness. But Lena knew that the battle was far from over. The silent conclave would not forget her defiance. And as she looked out over the village, the weight of her decision pressed down on her, because while the storm had passed, the storm within her had only just begun.